Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Hello, everyone, to this beautiful Friday. I'm sure many of you are very stoked that it's the weekend. And thank you all for being here. I see so many of Preston and Dolly's subscribers in the chat. And of course, we are also airing on Ethereal Encounters Unveiled on YouTube. So if you can please support us by subscribing, give us a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate it. So today I have an amazing show with two amazing guests, Preston Dennett and Dolly Safran. We've had them on many times before, and we're always so thrilled when they come back. So again, a big shout out to United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, which airs on FM radio at 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Please be sure and join us in the chat. We love hearing from you. We love seeing you there. So please be sure and do that on most platforms out there. So as you guys know, UFO topics, disclosure, they're huge right now, and rightfully so. But what if the greatest discovery in human history didn't make the headlines, but was intentionally buried, as we know it is? For decades, whispers have persisted of crashed craft not made by human hands, of classified programs operating in the shadows, and of technology so advanced that they could reshape everything that we think we know about reality itself. At the center of this storm stands Bob Lazar, a man who claimed not only that extraterrestrial vehicles exist, but that they were being studied, taken apart, reverse engineered in secret. Dismissed by some, believed by others, but never fully explained. Tonight, we go deeper, because this isn't just about one man's story anymore. It's about a pattern, a body of claims, encounters, and investigations that refuse to go away. And I'm glad that they are refusing to go away. We deserve disclosure. So joining us is Preston Dennett and Dolly Safran, two individuals who have spent years exploring the edges of this mystery. Their work and experience push beyond theory into territories that challenge the limits of what we are told is possible. So the question isn't just about what's out there, it's more about what we have already found and why we don't know the truth. So enough jibber jabber, as I like to say, and let's welcome Dolly and Preston.
Hey, Carolann. Hi,
so good to have you guys back.
Thank you. It's an honor, Carolann.
Thank you. We love it. There's so many people in the chat. Thank you all. I know many of you come from Preston and Dolly's account, but Heidi, much love, Star Sister. There's so many folks in here too that I recognize and see. Too many to individually shout out, but hello and much love, of course, to you all. So I thought we could dig in with Bob Lazar. His movie is out. I have it queued up for this weekend. I know you guys saw it, but let's unpack that, because there's so many claims. I mean, I've got a punch list here of claims, and I thought maybe we could get started with just a good overview of, in case the folks that are listening don't know who Bob Lazar is. So whoever wants to take it. Let's dig in.
All right, I guess I'll start. Thanks, Carolann. It's always a joy. This topic is so important. It's funny to me that people say, oh, this doesn't affect me. It does. It really does. Because when you think about the fact that we have ET technology that could transform the world, And I like what you said. Bob Lazar is kind of at the center of the storm. He's in the eye of this hurricane and has been for years. His story exploded onto the scene in the late 1980s when George Knapp, a mainstream journalist from Las Vegas, broke the story. He got a lot of pushback. I mean, he was heavily ridiculed by the media, even being called like the king of anal proctology.
Yeah, right.
I mean, just ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, Bob Lazar's story had a lot of validity to it because he was bringing people up to Area 51 on the outskirts to a little place called Tickaboo Peak. And these craft being tested. So he's certainly not just relying on his own eyewitness testimony. He, in a nutshell, claims to have been working inside Area 51 at a place called S4, where there were numerous craft that were being held by our government and studied and to some extent reverse engineered. And he released more and more interviews, and the more he talked about it, the more pushback he got. The government immediately started purchasing the land that he was taking people to. You can no longer get to Tickaboo Peak and overlook Area 51 because that land has now been claimed by the government. And he was viciously attacked, his reputation in every way. They virtually erased him. George Knapp did excellent investigative work and was able to prove, in fact, that he did work at MIT in Los Alamos. He was in the newspaper, the company newspaper, little claims, but try to call them, the Los Alamos, never heard of him. We don't know who he is, which is disingenuous and simply not true. As this new documentary by Project Gravatar, S4, the Bob Lazar story, so beautifully proves. I don't want to give it away, Carolann, but you've got a treat ahead of you.
I can't wait.
So yeah, that's in a nutshell the Bob Lazar story. I love the guy for coming forward, staying strong, stepping back when he had to, but still sticking to his story.
Wonderful. You could we could talk about the movie, no problem, because I don't have a problem. Like, I always look for sneak peeks and things ahead of time anyway. So we could talk about it. No worries. I'm going to watch it probably tomorrow anyway. But he claimed that, and I didn't know this until I started doing some research, that there were 9 UFOs stored at S4. And of course, he said they were not human made. And he describes one of the craft as the sports model, right? He said the interior had no sharp edges, child-sized proportions, and minimal controls. There were no visible writings. And there were systems that appeared integrated into the structure. Could you tell me more about that? Were there 9? Is that fact?
Dolly, you're muted.
You're muted, yeah. There you go.
Okay. Oh, where'd everybody go? I don't see you anymore.
You don't see who?
I see you.
Okay, all right. Well, yes, there were 9. In the movie, he shows 3 of them: the sports model, the top hat, and the Jello mold, and one. And those are significant. The sports model, in my mind, is the most significant. I've actually been in the sports model as a young person, and a couple of times when I was older. And
wait a minute. We got to stop you there because I don't want to glaze over that. That's like big time news. Tell us about that, Dolly.
Well, in Symmetry, you read the craft that I was going into, when I was 14. That's the sports model. Remember me saying, the beam brought us up alongside of it, and there was an open hatch, sort of like not on the bottom, but sort of half in the bottom, half up in the top. And I got shoved in, and I landed on my keister. There's a reason for that. The reason that Mama was sitting there is she didn't have room to stand. She's 7'2", and I'm 5'8". Back then I was like 5'9.5". I've lost some height because of injuries. And it took us immediately to Tolada, like in half a second or two. And they were trying to get me off it because I'd puked into my shirt. But I've been on that. That's not the only time I've ever been on it. They've come and got me quite a few times in the sports model to take me.
Good
to
Lord. So for people that are listening and maybe don't know, Dolly, you're a contactee, and that's Tolada and Mama are these ETs that kind of oversaw you and helped you through the whole thing. So how did you end up in S4? Like, who took you there?
I didn't go to S4.
Where'd you go? How'd you see it then? Like, where did you see this craft?
I saw the craft in person at home, my place. Growing up, it was
not the same one, the same model.
Well, the same model, yeah.
Oh,
it's the same type of craft. It's not the only one of its type. I mean, there are thousands of sports models flying around for ET. They use them a lot. It's one of their most used vehicles, craft. And,
gosh, that's so funny to hear it called the sports model.
Yeah, well, when you see it, you'll understand why it looks like a sports model.
Yeah,
and I got excited when I saw S4 because I was waiting to see, because it was touted as being the most descriptive, perfect representation of the sports model. And I've been dying to see that. And when it came up, Preston was sitting there watching my face, and I was like, oh my God, that's it. Oh my God, there it is. He got it. It was perfect. They did it in CGI and a little bit of AI tweaking. They even age regressed Lazar to show him there with it in 3D. I mean, it's incredible. And the hatch was there and everything. I was like, oh my God, there it is. So
now what race of ET navigated this ship? Was it the ones that you encountered during your
the grays, the little grays and the tall grays? The little grays mostly cut like the AI grays do. They're the smallest ones. They come in different sizes, actually.
Yeah.
The ones that you mostly see are only a little over 3.5 feet tall, but there are others that barely make a foot tall. And they fly that thing. And the fixed equipment in it is the power plant, it's a chamber that goes above the power plant that channels energy up through it. It's like a tube, and it goes up through the top, and it goes down and around the sides down to the bottom where the emitters are in this particular craft. It's how they channel the energy to the emitters, and it's flown psychically, just like every other ET craft there is.
Yeah.
And he showed all the on there.
How many times were you in there?
Oh God, I've been on at least 14 or 15 times that I can absolutely recall, maybe more.
One of the ones that you flew?
No, I never flew I don't fly that particular model. I fly Tolada's type of craft. I fly with Tolada, exclusively with Tolada. I've gone out in other craft training, but to learn other different types of craft for emergency purposes, but I've never flown it. I'm too big. I couldn't fly that if I wanted to. I'm too big.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow.
Yeah, he shows the tiny little seats, and they're very much like the little play school chairs, those little plastic ones.
Yeah.
A human couldn't fit in it, certainly not comfortably.
My 2-year-old daughter would be a little bit large for it. So
I guess even ET has to sit down, right?
Yes.
I don't know. I thought maybe they didn't need to sit, but I guess they do. So
flying, they do. Yeah.
What was that, Dolly?
Flying, they do. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Preston, there were 9 of them, right? Did we capture or re-engineer all 9 models, or like how did that work?
That remains to be seen.
No, they're only very surface level re-engineered.
Right.
Tiny little things we're beginning to understand. We're talking these guys millions, billions of years in advance of us. So there are elements of it that we're beginning to understand. But as far as reverse engineering and taking these craft and flying them to other planets, I don't think we're anywhere near that, or will ever be anywhere near that. But yes, from what I understand, these were captured. Now, Bob Lazar was not privy to that information. So he doesn't know exactly where they come from, but it's clear to him, as someone who's very advanced in his understanding of technology here on Earth today, that these are definitely not ours. And you can certainly tell because going inside them, they're not designed for humans. And what's really interesting, and this is how I know there's all these elements to it that make me realize he is telling the truth. Because coming from a contactee angle, when people describe the interior of a UFO, not only do they describe it not having any sharp angles and being kind of silvery inside, rounded rooms, but there's nothing in there. There's no steering wheel. There's no visible engines.
Yeah.
There's almost no furniture. This is exactly what Bob is describing.
Yeah. Preston, excuse me. Dolly, I can't see you or me anymore. Are you having that same problem?
Yeah, I only see Preston.
What in the world? What in the world is happening? Oh, there we go. Now I see me in the back.
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on.
StreamYard's been acting a little berserk. That's perfect. That's perfect.
I didn't press anything. Honest.
No, me. I don't know. StreamYard's been a little glitchy lately. But anyway, so go ahead. You were saying.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, he does not know where these craft came from, but all these little details he describes makes me know his story is real. Not only the interior of the craft, but there was a gentleman I interviewed from Utah, and he told me that he absolutely believes in Lazar because he was taken on board one of these models as well. And watching this show S4 with Dolly, this is the strength of S4. The program is the illustrations, the imaging they did of the craft. Because you basically get to stand next to Bob Lazar as he's given the tour of S4 and tries to study these craft. You see exactly what he saw.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait.
Per Bob Lazar, it's very accurate.
I believe him totally. Like I've always believed his story. And I think most people do. Sure, there's skeptics out there, but it's also interesting. And you know, you guys can weigh in on this because I did want to mention it. Let me mention this first. According to Bob's claims, these craft are powered by anti-gravity propulsion systems. They use gravity amplifiers instead of conventional thrust, obviously. He said that the craft could bend space-time to travel, like not move through space traditionally, and described 3 gravity emitters underneath the craft and claimed that there were 2 modes, Omicron and Delta, right?
Well, that's the terminology they use for it because they didn't know how to describe it.
Right.
Okay, Omicron and Delta means that it's in stasis and not stasis. In other words, it's inert and inert. Okay, and if I'm using that correctly, my English is not always good. In other words, the pilot rotates the emitters to begin using the power that's generated from the plant that's in it. It's a round half dome that's got a nuclear chip in it, and they turn it on. You know, they ignite the chip. It's nuclear. Okay, it's a type of nuclear power. It's using element 115, and it creates and what Bob doesn't know. Bob doesn't know the entire story about exactly how that works. Okay, unless he had every piece of equipment and knowledge to his thing, he just knows what he sees. So he knows the effects that happen. He doesn't know how the effects work. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not propulsion, it's attraction and repulsion. It's electromagnetic energy that's so intense it creates a wave of energy that takes them out of space-time. In other words, they go interdimensional, literally, while it's on. And it can repulse you or attract you, just like it repulses or attracts against the Earth's gravity to fly over the Earth. That's why when it's above you, you see it doing this, you know, and bobbing and weaving like it's on the water, but it's actually in a gravity wave that it's repulsing or attracting. It's like being on a boat of water, but it's electromagnetic energy. So it's not, there's no intake valve and there's no outtake pipe. This is totally generated within a power plant, and the energy from that chip can last for that size of craft probably several years before they have to replace and put a new one in it. Okay, literally.
Wow.
That long. And this chip will use all of its energy up totally. There's no waste from it at all. There's nothing left after it's expended, which is nothing. We got nothing like that. We don't even understand that technology, and we never will in this lifetime. They won't have it. They use a different type of electromagnetic conveyance here, where they're spinning certain types of protons and electrons to create an anti-grav, but it doesn't. It does somewhat go into extra dimensional ability. It creates the wave, but not as powerful as ET's craft do.
You know, and that it just seems very suspicious to me. And Preston, you can let me know your thoughts first. And I wanted to mention this because it's absolutely scary and heartbreaking what's happening to these scientists out there. So that's all over the news. That I think it's up to 13 now. There were 2 more discovered, a father and a son, that left the planet in, I have to be careful with my verbiage, in an airplane crash. So it's all got something to do with this reverse gravity engineering stuff. Like they all seem to have worked on it. And then to hear that David Wilcox passed the other day on the 22nd.
Yeah, David Wilcox is totally unrelated to that. Totally.
No, but right. But still, no, I agree.
David Wilcox had emotional problems.
He is a ufologist.
Right.
And he made a statement the day before. Well, I watched his podcast on Saturday, and he had said, I'm not societal. I don't want to say the word, and I want to live. I love my life. The whole thing, I'm not going to debate his death with you, but the whole thing, the whole package of what's happening is just really scary and suspicious.
And they want you to think that. And I'm going to alleviate some of your fear if you let me. All right. As a registered nurse who studied psychology, I can tell you right now that people will tell people who notice that they are suicidal, accuse them of it, and they say, no, I'm not. And they'll go as far as to make public statements. This boy had issues. He had issues with women. It is well known.
I know he did.
Okay. There's no correlation between him and the men that are disappearing on the other side. This is a sad, sad tale. They have it on. The police were called. He was there brandishing the gun.
I don't believe any of that.
See, that's the problem. You're taught not to believe the truth. When it's on camera and you hear the entire conversation.
I don't believe the news. I just don't. I shouldn't say I don't believe them. I always approach it with a maybe in quotes. Maybe.
Not a maybe. And how about give the benefit of the doubt to the people who were there and are witnesses, good witnesses who've stated for a fact to the people, point blank. They've allowed the officers to speak. They've allowed the coroner to speak. So, by the way, one of the things that they do, the reason he had to go to a coroner, even though he shot himself, is they wanted to know if he was on drugs when he did it. They needed to know if he had a brain tumor, and that might have.
No, I understand all that. I just think the whole thing.
Suicide.
I mean, that may be right. He may have done that. I always say maybe he did, but it's just heartbreaking. The whole thing, just like the sequence of events that are taking place, whether they're correlated or not. Yeah. is it's just suspicious to me. And there's a lot of people that are asking questions, and we can't wrap our heads around what's happening out there. It's terrible.
There's a way to wrap your head around it. One first of all is we've got energy coming into the earth that's messing with people's brains and has been for a long time. You have stuff that's coming in from the government through your bloody Wi-Fi messing with you. Your TV is messing with you. You're being told to be afraid of everything. You're seeing conspiracies everywhere without understanding what the truth really is. So yeah, y'all are wandering in a dark room with no light.
Yeah, I don't watch the news. I get my news from different sources, but I gave up TV years ago. I watch it very
It doesn't
intermittently.
matter. There's sources everywhere that are still.
Oh, I know that. I know about brainwashing and advertising and the whole thing. I'm just saying, Dolly, as a whole, if you look at it holistically from a 360 view, okay, on a spiritual level too, something is not right. It doesn't feel right.
You are right about that. I agree with you 100%. But the reason for it is not being seen because you got so much smoke and mirrors going on that you aren't paying attention to what's really happening around you. That's the problem. That's the reason I spoke out. That's the reason I'm talking. It's because there's some of us who do know the reason why, and we're not being listened to. We're not being given any credence whatsoever.
I agree with that.
Bob Lazar very well knows this as well, and he stated it, unequivocally stated it. They're up to no good. They're back engineering. He does believe there's a false flag coming, and we're all in a load of deep doo-doo, and it's true. And you have to ask yourself, why are they doing it? And there are reasons for why he's doing it. They're doing it. And it's all strictly coming from the military-industrial complex. President Trump has no control over it whatsoever.
I agree with that. I agree with that. It's something sketchy. Anyway, the whole point of bringing that up was because of the correlation, Preston. You get that, right, too, with the anti-gravity stuff and just what's going on. And I just wanted to know, like, if there was a connection between, even forget David, we'll take him out of the picture, the other scientist and this anti-gravity propulsion.
Yes, they're about to launch a false flag, and they have people who are starting to talk, and they're taking them out. Period.
Right.
That's
right.
So here's the way I look at it. This is something that is actually hitting the mainstream media.
Yeah.
When something like this hits the mainstream media, it's gotten a little bit out of control because normally we wouldn't be hearing anything about this.
Correct.
This would be very effectively covered up, but it's now reached such a point where it's not easily covered up.
Absolutely.
People are beginning to connect the dots, which to me stinks of desperation or escalation of events. So it's very concerning.
I think too, they want to keep us frightened. Excuse me for interrupting you, but I think you're right. It is desperation, absolutely. Because they wouldn't release this information unless they wanted us to know it.
Correct.
Exactly, because the media, I'm with you, the news not being trustworthy, because we know this, it's very much propaganda. So you have to be very careful to assess and verify everything. But looking at what we do know about these scientists, it's clearly related. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
This comment too from the blind psychronaut, that's cute. Whatever that says, I can't see it. David Wilcox served as the director of advanced technology for Stravati Aerospace. He did, and he had invested big time bucks in that too. I don't know. We're here to talk about other things, but I just wanted to see what you two guys thought about the connection between the anti-grav that Bob Lazar is talked about and says that's what they use, and Dolly just affirmed that as well.
Yeah. And Bob Lazar is lucky he didn't get bumped off as well, because a lot of these whistleblowers, and frankly, UFO researchers and contactees are walking a fine line.
Yeah,
because all of us, this includes you, Carolann, we're being watched by this secret government.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, all of us, we're all being watched.
Oh, I know.
Whether you're a podcaster, a UFO researcher, a contactee, or a whistleblower, this is something our secret government takes very seriously.
Absolutely.
Here's a point I want to make. We think of our government as being composed of 3 areas: legislative, executive, and judicial. That's who we think is running the country. You have to add in 3 other elements here: the military, the intelligence agencies, and the
banks,
industrial complex. Those are the ones who are actually running the country.
No, I believe that.
Everything else is just a front.
100%.
So they're the ones who are responsible for these scientists going missing, and the patterns with them each just walking out of their home, with all their phones, nothing with them except maybe their sidearm. there's something going on there. Dolly and I have been talking about it.
They can make things look like, I guess Dolly already said the word suicide. So I guess I'm just careful on YouTube because you know how they are. But I know they have ways to make it look like suicide and make it look like things were self-inflicted. And you are spot on, Preston. That is who runs the government. And if they want to watch people like us, good luck to them. It's still not going to silence anybody. So good luck to them. I know the NSA listens.
I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to. Okay, because I feel goaded into it at the moment.
I'm sorry. What was that?
From personal experience talking here, okay? This is from living in the military-industrial complex. I grew up in it, okay? And if you've got somebody on the inside and they've done something and they want you gone, if you want your family to live, you will walk outside your door and put a gun to your head and pull it. That is one way they can make you do it. It is a forced suicide. But he crossed a line. According to something, he crossed a line. Whether it was a personal line or a line connected to them. And I'm leaning toward him doing it because of him and not somebody telling him to. Okay. His family is not talking. They're very quiet about the whole thing. And if anybody deep dived into his background, you would know. And I don't care who the hell he worked for. He worked for him years ago. And they don't care about that stuff. All right. Unless you're active in the system, that's when they'll make you pull the trigger. And he had to have been active in the system. And I don't see that happening with him at all.
Have any abductees or, I haven't heard any in the news, but have any other people been MIA or passed away, like podcasters or contactees, or I don't know. Have you guys heard of anybody else, or is it just them?
So far, just them, but you don't know. I mean, unless you're in tabs with somebody, constant contact, there's no way to know,
Yeah.
People fade away.
Over the years, yeah. There are some researchers who said, oh, yeah. I couldn't. There was a guy in England, I forget his name. He's like, listen, I think I'm in danger. If something should happen to me, it's not me doing it. And sure enough, he went missing.
I know you're a nurse, Dolly. So is my son. So I have the ultimate respect for that industry. But just because somebody says that they're not intending to do that to off themselves, I know it's not written in stone that anybody can just change their mind the next day. But it's really bizarre when these folks have clearly made statements that wasn't their intention, and then all of a sudden they're gone. Like it's just
when you got a family crawling down your throat about it. That can happen. They'll do anything to allay their family from stopping them. You can Baker Act people. You forgot about that. If you tell your family you're going to commit suicide, they'll Baker Act you in a second. Okay. And if he's making public statements, no, I'm not going to do that, blah, 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 to put them off, and then go out 2 days later and then let himself have it. Of course, there's 1,000 things going on in mental health. It's a chain reaction field. Okay. And I'm telling you, our system is messed up medically anyway. Thousands and thousands of people a day are Baker acted. Some of them are plain crazy street people, and they're just activating them because they're in trouble, and it's the only way to get them into a hospital situation. And it's top to bottom messed up. Threat of a Baker Act, trust me, I've seen it 1,000 times. They'll shut them on real fast. Yep. So
I want to talk to you guys another thing in the movie. And again, I just did the research. I'm going to watch tomorrow, but Bob Lazar talked about element 115. He said the fuel source was then an unknown element called moscovium or something like that. He claimed that it was stable in this context, but it was unlike any other synthesized that was publicly known, right?
Right.
And allegedly it was used to generate a powerful gravitational field, which blows my mind, and said that the U.S. government already has a supply of it. Think about that.
He said that?
That's what the research I did
I don't know
said.
Who did he read that, or did somebody else write that?
I think from what I got, he said that. That was his We can look into that.
I would. That's a
From what
hard one.
I do understand, we have been working on anti-gravity for decades, and we're able to achieve it in the 1950s. So that is some of the reverse engineering probably that was successful to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And this is why so much of what we see from that point onward in the skies, we have to be very careful assuming that this is extraterrestrial, because a lot of it is not.
Yeah. I heard Hitler was working on that too. He was developing craft. I read, I don't know how true it is, but it was in some documentary I watched that he was big into developing what looked like
batteries. They were doing powerful batteries that created lift. Okay. That's as far as they got with it.
Yeah, no, I don't think that far.
That's where the government got the idea of using marine batteries and stuff like that, power.
That's
electricity is at the basis. Gravity is a unique force in the universe, okay? And it can be gravitation, where you've got a planet of mass spinning and it's causing gravity, it's pulling us down. You got a sun that's emitting huge waves of gravity and it's pushing against everything and drawing everything to it at the same time. And then there's gravity that you can create by amping electricity to unbelievable proportions. And you can create a graviton wave by massively creating that much electricity. And that's their technology is light technology. And the element 115 can produce or amp electricity to the point that it can create a graviton wave. Okay. It's channeled to the emitter so that they can move it around, aim it the way they want it to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys know of anything more powerful than element 115? Jay Kramer wants to know.
If I did, I would not say it out loud. I would not explain it to anyone. No. So no comment. Okay.
Love is more powerful. Just gonna say it.
Hey, I like that. That's great, Preston. I love that because it's true.
I mean, technology is all well and good, but let's remember that even the ETs, with their perfection of technology, it's largely psychically based.
Right.
And this is something that are a long, long way away
That's
from.
all part of the energy of light. In the third dimension, you're a solid object. You think you're a solid object. You're not. You're an object of light, emitting light. You're pure light. You're just so gravity heavy here. All your protons and electrons are all screwed up together real tight. You can't see in between spaces. Your vision is sucky. And so, but it's light technology. Yeah.
And it's interesting because technology is basically done with inorganic materials, essentially. But that's not true when it comes to ETs. And we have to understand that ETs are able to levitate psychically, do telepathy psychically, do all the kinds of things psychically that we would call superpowers. And we ourselves have this ability. So at some point, technology and what would you call it, psychic abilities intersect. And this is something ETs truly understand, and we really don't.
Oh, I agree. I fully agree. So what else about Bob? He says the origin of the craft claimed from briefing documents stated that the craft came from Zeta Reticuli. Is that true?
Orion. Yeah. I'm telling you it's true. Yes. It's in the constellation of Orion. Zeta Reticuli is in Orion. Okay. Yeah. And, it's true.
It's very interesting because that is also true from a contactee angle. Of course, we know the Betty and Barney Hill story. Which I believe is 100% accurate. Marjorie Fish. Yeah.
She drew it too, right? Yeah.
Right. And that term also comes up, Orion particularly, in a bunch of ET contact accounts.
Yeah.
So that does appear to be the origin of
that's
a lot of
people
who are visiting us.
Yeah. He also said that there was some level of knowledge about the beings who built them, and said that the information was given to him in briefings, not discovered firsthand. So they knew something about them, I would imagine, right? How did that
And
come?
They fed him a lot of information. Like when he first went in to this, they took him into a briefing room. He hadn't even seen anything yet, and he went through documents this thick, and he was signing NDAs all over the place. So he had document briefing. You know, it's pre-batching his brain
Sure.
to analyze from a starting point. Okay, and they caught him up. It's a catch-up brief, and he also stated that they were throwing things at him that he knows could not have been true. They were like, it's a test. Anytime you're having somebody with NDAs, and I know this quite personally, they'll tell you stupid stuff and see if you pass it on to somebody, and it's made stupid stuff that only has your name on it. So if it's repeated somewhere else by someone else, they know you're the leak. Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's a common intelligence technique. I mean, even kids in school do this kind of thing, spreading gossip to one person to see if they'll tattletale.
Right, exactly. The government uses it. So a lot of the things that he was read into, he realizes they're complete and utter, no. That kind of
think
thing.
our governments know far, far more than the average contactee. Dolly's exceptional in that she's had extensive experiences that she's been able to recall consciously. Most contactees are not like that, but our governments have put an enormous amount of time, money, and energy into this subject. They have a very good idea all about ETs, their civilizations, their biology, their abilities, their technology. They know volumes. So people who, and Bob Lazar is just one guy. You don't think they have a small group of people working on this, do you? No, they have an enormous number of people working on this. It's heavily compartmentalized. Most people never violate their NDA. Never. So, I mean, Earl Grey, his mom was involved in this. Earl Grey passed on not too long ago. He found out that his mom was working in one of these underground facilities. June Crane, she was a nurse who finally, or not a nurse, she was a technician who went public on her deathbed. It was her job to basically catalog little ET technology parts. There's an army of people out there who have come forward, and
this
it's
started in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and onward. Okay, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are involved in this.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Somebody made a
Bob
comment.
Lazar said he came forward because he felt humanity deserved to know the truth. God bless him. We do.
It takes a lot of courage to do that. A lot of courage.
He's a hero, okay? And my book is the hero. Absolute hero. I mean, I'm telling you from my perspective, from my experiences and that stuff, but this boy has authority because he's actually been on there inside and worked with it. All right. This gives him an intimate authority of truth telling, and that makes him an absolute hero, just saying,
I agree, Dolly. It does.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a hero too for telling your story. It takes a lot of courage to do that.
An idiot.
Which she nearly didn't do. She was in her 60s when she finally came forward. Can you imagine how many people never talk? Because there are a lot of other people out there who have fully conscious encounters, and they've learned, like most contactees, you don't go forward.
Yeah.
And certainly most whistleblowers are not whistleblowers because they're not going to put their family or their lives or their reputation at risk.
I don't think that was your reason, though, Dolly, right? For not coming forward.
My reason is just like Bob Lazar's, but I put it a little bit differently. One of the first podcasts that I did, he point blank asked me dead straight up to my face, "Why are you talking?" And I said, "Because I don't want people to die stupid."
Oh,
period. Okay. It's just Dolly talk, I mean, that's the way I think. I don't want you all to be on the wrong side of this. I want you all to be aware. I want you to be able to use your abilities. I mean, there's a whole ton of information that you all will be able to get for yourselves if you just learn to use your abilities,
Yeah.
It would give you the ability to hear when people are lying straight to your face. That's number one. Number two is it opens your mind up to knowledge that you would not have accessed before. That's important. People say, I want to be taught. I want to be taught. I got this for you. You have the equipment to be taught yourself and to use it yourself so that you become wise yourself and employ it yourself. That's the whole point. Mommy and daddy did not tell you I'm going to be there for you every minute of your life for the rest of your life, and I'll help you with everything. No, they didn't. They give you the information you need to teach yourself and then pat you on the little backside and send you on your way. This is important to understand. We're not children. We're adults here. And we absolutely are sovereign in these bodies. We are the rulers of ourselves. And nobody has a right to walk and use us like they have, period. You know, and there's a ton of information out there that you all deserve to know the truth.
That's why I became a UFO researcher, because I was so angry to find out that there was a cover-up.
Well, you had
that just blows my
experiences
mind.
too. You had experiences too, Preston, that pushed you to the edge of that, I think, right?
Yeah, I did. I wasn't fully aware of it when I became a UFO researcher. It was more because of my brother Mark and his encounter. But what really pushed me into doing UFO research was the cover-up.
Yeah.
Because I knew, reading about Roswell was absolutely shattering. Because I would love to see that craft. I would really like to know more about this. It's mind-blowing to think that it's not just Roswell. Roswell is very well known. But if you read the works of Leonard Stringfield, he has interviewed couple of hundred whistleblowers, and most every major researcher out there has whistleblower accounts.
Sure.
I know I do. Bill Hamilton, he interviewed people from Area 51. Edith Fiore, she was a researcher who interviewed this lady who received an envelope at her home which happened to be misaddressed.
Oh my goodness.
Because her husband worked at a company that had the same name as another company. So they actually opened this envelope, and it was information with letters from Barry Goldwater to various generals and military bases talking all about how we have crashed UFOs in bodies. So this got leaked out by pure accident. And there is no doubt in my mind that it's not just Area 51. There's dozens and dozens of Air Force bases that have been directly implicated
worldwide.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we've even got Tim Burchett coming out saying that he was briefed that they are making alien hybrids from like indigent people that are, I don't know. I didn't take him to be a fib killer, but that kind of blew me away that they make crazy.
Yeah, the disinformation is coming out thick right now. It really is.
Big time. It's not coming out. It's crazy.
You know what's freaking me out?
I wanted to talk to you about a little bit about government secrecy and control, because we've got these private contractors that I personally think the list you gave before, Preston, I think they're at the top of it, right? So he claimed, Bob Lazar, that heavy surveillance intimidation, we all know, was used after he spoke out. He said that records, education, employment were all erased and altered, and that the program obviously operated outside of normal government oversight.
Yeah. Thank God for Luigi and a bunch of researchers who put that all to rest, because we leave an electronic trail, whether the government realized that you can't know everything, okay? And the government was sloppy because they did find proof on the back channels of everything, and they did find him in the phone book, and they did find his employers, and they did this, that, and in other words, they show that on S4. You need to watch that movie, okay?
That's all bull crap.
All of that to rest, yes.
Wonder why they spew out all those toxic lies and stuff. Well, I guess it's all a part of to make him.
They don't want people to believe a bloody thing you say. That's why. And the more you say that's correct, the faster they'll come after you.
What about the contractors, though? The private contractors. Do you think that these guys are really kind of overseeing all this stuff?
There's no such thing as a private contractor. Okay, I want to make this perfectly clear to every human being that hears my voice right now. There is no such thing as a private contractor. If you're contracting to do work for the military-industrial complex, the government, you are dead in it. You have signed the documents. You got permission. You're overseen, and they're all in there with them. There's nothing private about it. They want you to think it's private, but it is not.
Yeah, because the
No.
government themselves calls them black operative programs.
They are black ops, part of the
Yeah.
military industrial complex.
Well,
You know
this
what
is
an
one of the-
oligarchy is, right? Black ops is an oligarchy of companies that work directly for the military industrial complex. They are not private corporations. Sandia Mountain Complex, #1 on my hit list. People talk about the little, Ponte that live there. No, they don't. You go down under there, there are no aliens under there. There's a huge complex of back engineering going on down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
they
believe
advertise for people to come work for them, openly advertise. It's a
So
military.
their use of private contractors is a shortcut, a way of bypassing red tape and laws,
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly.
So they can use people. I've interviewed a few folks. There was one guy who was a contractor who worked at Malmstrom Air Force Base, and he witnessed that whole event where the UFOs shut down the intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, these are people who absolutely are made to sign NDAs and are fully
Sure.
threatened unless they're actually a part of it. In which case, if you walk into it, like Dolly says, they've got you. They've got
They're
a
in.
noose around your neck is really the best way to put it. And the people who are whistleblowers often do so at great personal risk or are on their deathbed.
Yeah.
Another example is Major Mansman, who was part of the operation at Vandenberg Air Force Base where Dr. Bob Jacobs was there when they shot a test missile and UFOs showed up and circled around it, and he filmed it. And he was threatened. They blew up his mailbox. They threatened his job. He had a real tough time with it from day one, still is having a tough time. Major Mansman was his boss. Investigators located him. He was on his deathbed, dying of cancer, and he verified all of it, said it was all true. He's, of course, dead now.
Jeez.
But this is what it takes sometimes for people to come forward, and God bless every one of them.
Yeah.
Says, you know what? People deserve to know the truth.
So if they're reverse engineering these craft, other than Bob Lazar's 9, let's say, how are they getting how do they crash? Because you would think such a highly technical piece of machinery wouldn't be crashing like that. Are they getting shot down? And if so, what kind of weaponry? Because we saw video of a missile being shot at one of these things, and it don't stop it.
They crash because our magnetosphere is down 40 at this moment, probably better than 45%, and a vehicle that uses the Earth's electrical fields to fly in an atmosphere in here with it, and you have an electrical field that suddenly just goes and it's gone. That craft is going to go down, and nobody is perfect. Okay, every single being in this universe has a bad day. And they have pilots that got caught unaware, lost cohesion, and went straight down. Or the plant blows up. Or, everything in the third dimension decapitates, okay? Their vehicles are not 100% foolproof of having bad days and doing stupid things, okay? That's why they crash. That's the reason why they're not here now, because they left. Our pole change is dramatic. It's not safe for them to be here anymore, and they left. That's why they left, because they can't handle the crashes. Point blank. I am telling you,
they'd be smart enough. Yeah, I would think they would be smart enough to say, "Hey, it's bad time to go.
It's a bad day. We're not doing it anymore."
Yeah, I think there's some things that need to be clarified here, though, because there's people within the UFO field saying we are shooting them down.
They're not.
Dolly says, no, this is not happening, and I agree with her. What has been happening is some of our own technology is being shot down, because remember, this is heavily compartmentalized, and some of this is pure propaganda and
engineered
show
stuff being shot down.
to make us think that we can do this when in fact we can't. You can't do it with an EM pulse weapon or an energy beam weapon.
Right.
And the recent congressional whistleblowers, some of these folks are saying, oh, we're using, what do they call it, psychotronics or something, to basically trick ETs into coming down, and then we shoot them down. This is the level of disinformation that's
Biggest lie
becoming
on the
really dangerous and
These are wide
mind-blowingly
open psychic. They
not
hear everything you
believable.
think, feel, say, and do. And there's no way to mess with them. 100% no way. They know more than you will ever know in your existence. They're that advanced. And it's not playing games. You cannot call an ET down at your whim. You can't fool them. And their technology is so advanced that in that field that they fly in, nothing can penetrate it. And if they go interdimensional, you think you're shooting at it, but it's going right through them. They cannot bring a craft down at all.
Yeah. And here's another piece of disinformation that is very much disturbing to me, that these are spiritual beings, demonic in nature.
No.
I cannot emphasize enough how much that is pure disinformation. And if you can see the books behind me, I've got a whole row on demonics because this was something that I was aware of from the very beginning. And I know about these things. I've investigated firsthand demonic hauntings. They're real, and they manifest in a pretty set pattern. When someone's taken on board a craft, you can pretty much predict 80% of what's going to happen to them, 90 even, because it follows a fairly set pattern. These are two 100% separate phenomena.
There are no ET demons. Yeah. We are the only ones who become demons.
Well, you've got Chris Bledsoe, who can summon these orbs, spheres. He's got hundreds of videos documenting that. He's not the only one. There's many people that are using this, what's it called? Psytronics or physonics. It's got some name like that.
Psionics, that's right.
I'm calling Chris. Okay, I'm going to come out about this. Chris Bledsoe is, I'm going to call, no, he's not doing that. The government has a hold of him and they're using him and they're using fake things to make it look real. It's not.
Why though? Why? He's had so many.
Because they want you to believe that ETs are going to kill you eventually, and they've already started that trail. They're blazing it right now. We have what's his face? The last whistleblower to come out. He just put a movie out. What's his name, Preston? I hate names. Can't stand it.
I don't know. Lou Elizondo?
Yes. He calls them a national security risk, a global national security risk.
I heard him say that.
Okay.
My question is this, though. If the government is indeed using him, are they doing it through like hypnosis or something? Because he's had
if you feed people lie long enough, they believe them. He has no external, he has no absolute.
Here, let me explain.
Let me finish. Wait, I want to say this. He has no absolute experience personally with any of this information. He has not seen anything in reality. He's reading papers. He's being read in.
Not according to him, though, Dolly. Chris has come out and said he's been visited by the lady, this woman in white, that he had very deeply profound personal experiences himself. Yeah. So I don't know.
Can you understand that that's a setup?
No. Here's what's going on.
He doesn't know what's going on.
Yes, he has been on a craft.
Chris
Bledsoe is a genuine contactee.
So I'm talking about what's his face. You're not misunderstanding this, Preston. We're talking about
Chris Bledsoe.
Elizondo doesn't know Jack.
No, we were talking about Chris Bledsoe.
Oh, well, Chris Bledsoe may have started out a contactee, but I guarantee you the military complex got the little claws on him, and it's
here's what I think is happening, if I may. Yeah, Chris Bledsoe, I met him. Lovely man.
Yeah.
Genuine contactee. Really a nice guy, very intelligent, and absolutely had experiences. It was very well verified. He was healed. There was a lot of people there. He had a lifetime of experiences. He has recently been seeing a lot of orbs. Now, when someone is a contactee, they are heavily surveilled, especially if they are a very good contactee, especially if they are influential, well known. So they can be used. And by this, he's calling down orbs. He is not being taken on board and seeing humanoids currently. he did see the lady. This is probably a genuine experience. People are
Yeah.
often given messages about,
That's a
possible
psyop.
future events. Not
Point
at
blank.
all unusual.
Yeah.
But when someone becomes very well known, they become vulnerable to being manipulated. And we
Right.
see this over and over again. My labs are real.
Yeah.
And people who are genuine contactees are particularly targeted, particularly vulnerable to it. Now, I can't speak to his experiences directly because I wasn't there when these orbs are coming down. But this is absolutely a technique that they would use.
Wow.
And he told me out of his
about
own mouth that, yes, the government is interested in him and he was working with them. Now,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know.
NASA. He went to NASA too. See, I never, thank you for that, Preston, because I never made that connection that maybe these orbs are surveilling him. That's a good possibility.
Yeah, well, I'm concerned about it.
Yeah.
Without being able to absolutely ascertain it for sure, I can't say, yes, this is what's happening. But you would be naive not to consider this as a possibility.
Yeah.
See, the
That's
government
where
has
I'm
one
leaning,
time where
honestly.
I'm concerned because I can't be fooled. Okay, they can't mess with me. They know better, even to try. It's a whole nother ball game because they know I'm wide open psychic. I can see them coming from 10 miles away, and they know
Well,
that
you
I.
talking about the government, Dolly? Who are they?
The government, the damn
Yeah.
assholes. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about this. I'm fed up because so many people have so much disinformation. It's almost a damn nightmare to talk to anybody anymore because it's really messed up. You all have been fed so many lies that the truth is hard to see, hard to understand. It's just a nightmare. And we're this close to a full on false flag where you all are in deep, deep danger. All of you.
Which could be connected to what these missing scientists, because they might be this is one of my theories. They're being pulled underground.
Yeah.
Because
no, you're right, Dolly. Yeah, she's right. I mean, we have been fed a load of crap on the daily, and we still are being fed it. But it's so
government
hard.
has never told the truth. I mean, when you got a government that says no, nothing going on here, and they let whistleblowers talk, but they don't ever admit either. They've got instant plausible deniability. Nothing's being read into the record. Congressmen are saying, oh, well, we're into this and everything. Congressmen don't mean beans in this situation. Okay? They have no authority whatsoever. The true authority that knows all of this information is 0% talking, silent. There's no government official that's going to walk out onto the field with cameras blowing and say, this is it. As a matter of fact, they've covered up so much UFO evidence, strong UFO evidence, chopping film, blanking film, getting rid of it, that people have provided and taken. The Kumbaza Turkey incident. Do you know what they did to all that information? They scrubbed it as clean as they could get it.
Oh,
They've been downplaying it ever since. That was a big event. I thought it would go worldwide on the news. My whole hope was that this was going to be it. This would be really good, open disclosure. ET's here. Look. Nope, they scrubbed it. They have that kind of pull, authority, and control over all of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
But you know what I love about truth? It's still out there. People are still talking about the Kumbaza's turkey footage.
Yeah.
Truth can be hidden. You can distort it. You can lie about it. You can ignore it. You will never destroy it. And it's surviving.
That is gospel truth for sure. Right. I mean, I had Stephen Bassett on, who's a very famous ufologist. He was one of the first that went up and to Congress and lobbied and all that stuff. And he was convinced, and I believe still is, he's coming back on the show, that Donald Trump was made to be the first president of disclosure. He's going to be the disclosure president. And he said that all the other presidents globally are kind of giving that opportunity to Trump. But on the flip side of that, I'm very discouraged about that because Trump came out and said, very nonchalantly, as you guys probably heard, I'm going to release some information. They're going to put it on aliens.gov, which they're currently working on because it just got an SSL certificate. So they opened it, and I know they're starting to build it. And he said, you guys can make what you want of it. I'm not a big believer. And he just discounted the whole disclosure scenario with one.
Stephen Bassett.
Yeah.
Good luck to the man, but he's a disinformation officer. He's an expert at it, and he's a politico. In other words, he is not a true researcher. He is just a person who can talk to politics really well and go before Congress and try to help people get information. And he worked with the lawyer. What's his name? Wait, are you talking about Bassett, the guy, the white-haired guy?
No.
You're talking about the one that lives in Washington. He's single, no family, no nothing. That's Stephen Bassett?
I think he's got family. I'm not too sure about that, but no, the guy I had on was great. He was a great historian when it came to that information. But he did say that his hope was
the lawyer, Preston, the UFO lawyer, because I'm confused for a second.
Daniel Sheehan.
Sheehan, okay. So I'm correct what I say. Stephen Bassett's an op. That's all he is. And he's saying stuff that's off the charts incorrect. And he's playing the political game for the governments. That's all. That's all he is. He's a mouthpiece for the governments. And we had him on our show too. And I talked to him for 10 minutes and I knew exactly who he was. It didn't take me very long to ferret him out. I'm going to start calling a spade from here on out, because we're so close to things going wrong. If you all don't hear the truth, God help all of you. Okay. God help all of us, because it's going to turn into an insane asylum around here. You think it's bad now? Wait, it's going to get hard.
It really is a insane asylum.
You don't know who's on the wrong side of things. You need to, and he is one of them. Don't go there. It's all smoke and mirrors. They want you to play the political game. So, over here, watch what we're doing. Well, crap's happening over here. And this is
we
the
do want
stuff that happens.
We do want disclosure, though. I mean, don't you guys want disclosure? Like,
it's already been disclosed. Have you not figured that out?
I'm talking about our president of the United States of America.
Oh, that important.
In front of a camera.
And the almighty
guys, there are aliens. They exist. We have the goods. I just want somebody.
I would love that.
That's what I'm saying. I just want the president to do that.
If he had the authority to do so, it would be nice to hear him say it, but he doesn't. This is what I'm telling you. You got to stop wanting somebody who has no idea, no authority, and they're going to kill him if they want to. There's no disclosure coming from him. He's a
I know that. I know we're not going to get it.
I pray for something that's not going to happen.
I'm not praying for it. I just would like it. It would be nice. It's a respectful thing to do, because they think we're all idiots and we're not. They need to disclose this.
Okay,
they need to.
Take my point for me. You're not an idiot. That's correct. And you don't need somebody to tell you it's real. You should already know that. Disclosure's already happened. Y'all bloody well know ET's real.
I know it has.
Why do you have to have somebody over you saying, yes, it's real? You don't need that. You have a brain. You're not an idiot.
Yeah.
You already know.
About humanity, though. I'm not just talking about me individually. I'm saying humanity needs disclosure.
No, they don't. Most of humanity knows it's real, and they're acting on it as we speak.
They do, because there's a lot of people that don't have the know-how or do the research. They're not in this genre. They don't understand it. And there's everyday people that don't know, Dolly, and humanity globally deserves disclosure. That's it.
But the people with the lid on it are not the president, not the United States. It's the military-industrial complex. And they are monsters. And they are not going to let everybody know. So it's by word of mouth. So you don't need authority to tell people. Like we are right now, we're using our own personal authority to bring this out into light. Right. And whoever hears our voice can bring it out that way. So if they're hearing us clean across the globe on UPRN and UFO, they're hearing us globally. They're hearing us talk about it. They can't clamp down on us yet, trust me, they will. This eventually will be null and void. Trust me, it's coming. We're already disclosing. We're disclosing amongst ourselves. That's why ET did a grassroots thing where they were going to kids. They were going to ball games. They were going to, movie theaters. They were going everywhere they could think of to show themselves to everybody. We all know the truth. We don't need the bloody government to tell us. We don't need anybody. It's our word of mouth now. Us.
Dolly, I couldn't agree.
not them. Quit worrying about what the hell they're doing. They're going to lie to you until you die. Trust me.
You know, I just want to reiterate that we're dealing with 6 branches of government. I want the 3 branches that are representing the real government, the executive, judicial, and legislative, to disclose.
Absolutely.
Yes, I would love that. And I pray for that. I think that's okay.
Yeah, but
the other folks are lying liars. And I would love it if we had a sitting head of government, whether it's the US president, who absolutely say, yes, UFOs are real. That hasn't happened yet. That would be a step forward. I absolutely do agree that we don't need lying liars to tell us what's true, because we do know.
I'm going to say this again until you hear it. Do you think the hunter tells the prey he's going to kill it? That's what this is. This is my message to humanity. Y'all need to wake up now. Y'all need to prepare for what's coming, because they're going to tell you we got a national security incident. It's global. ET are coming to kill you. They're going to herd you into cities that have been vacated by the oligarchy and slaughter you wholesale. They're going to send diseases that you have no chance against. Nothing's going to happen. It's all going to happen at one damn time. And it's this close. This close. They're on a timeline. They're on a bloody timeline, because they know ET is not here, and they can do any bloody thing they want to humanity at this moment while they're not here. They have carte blanche. Please figure this out. The Earth has got a lot of people on it, and they got to go, because we have an existential crisis in our solar system coming, and they don't need us all here to get in their way when they think they're going to survive.
Just look at the history of humanity and how humanity has been treated by their, quote, governments. It's not a good history.
I know. I always say, if I got a tattoo, it would be, they think we're stupid, because we're not stupid. That would be my first tattoo. And it would be right on my forehead. But I agree, Dolly, with you in so many ways for everything you just said.
Everybody has the sovereign right to decide for themselves in an emergency, an existential emergency like this, how they want to handle it. And that has been taken away from you. And the only way to get it back is to tell them, nope, we already know what you're doing. We're going to go do what we want to do. Have a nice day. The more people who wake up and try to plan to take care of themselves through this, whatever way it's going to go for them, you have a right to make those decisions. Absolutely have that right. You know, you have a right to know that whatever days we have left, you can live them in joy and peace, not this crazy crap that they're throwing at you. This is not how human beings are supposed to live. We're not supposed
You're exactly correct. Yeah. It's not, and it's god awful.
Yeah. But if we could get everyone on the same page, if we could get the president and all the congressional leaders and the judges and everyone to just say, okay, this is real, that would be a step forward.
It would be.
Now it's basically just the UFO researchers, the contactees, and scattered people within government.
Like we're in our own piece of the dimensional
the reason that's a delusional idea, though. You realize that, right? If you go into delusional thinking,
we're humans, Dolly, and we like to have hope. And I think hope
has nothing to do with delusion. There's no hope in this. That's what I'm telling you. You can't have hope. You have to react a different way. This is what it means to grow up.
I agree. Yelling doesn't make it happen.
Yeah,
I agree.
This is reality. Reality cannot be negated. It is what it is, what it is. And if you don't face your reality, you're delusional. Hope has nothing to do with that. Hope lies in what you do with reality, not delusion.
Yeah.
You're playing the delusional playpen. It's not a good place to go.
Yeah.
The reality is that this is going to happen whether you like it or not. And how are you going to respond to it? There is hope in that, because you have a hope that when ET comes back, you're still standing here so they can pick you up. That if you want that, you have decisions to make. You have decisions, exit decisions, all kinds of things. But these have to do with reality. I'm not going to hope like a princess for something to go right. Excuse me. That's not how you live. You were sent here to live. Life is hard on this planet. The greatest lesson you can learn or teach another human being on this planet is that there is always going to be a problem. There's always going to be a crisis, and there's always going to be the moment where you are charged with making a decision one way or another. Make the right one for yourself. And you can't do that if you're in delusion and hope. That kind of hope is delusional, period. Quit working on they're going to tell me the truth. They are not. You need that. Do your own research, figure it out for yourself, and then employ that wisdom, knowledge on you so that you make the right decisions and you move forward in knowledge, honest, truthful wisdom, knowledge, reality, because you're going to die a terrible, terrible way to go. Shocked if you remain in delusion about this. There are plenty of us that are stating it this clearly, plenty of us. And if you open your eyes, you will hear the voices of us. I'm not the only one saying this. Not the only one. And I refuse to stand by. Can you imagine what made me stay behind? Because I put my butt in the hot seat with the rest of you. I could have left already. I could be gone. I could be doing whatever I want to do. I stayed here because I was born here. I live here. I'm among you. And I'm part of you. And I'm not going to stand by and watch this crap happen for no good reason. Okay? Evil is no. Stand up. Use your voice. We already have disclosure. We don't need a government to tell us it's real.
I think the mere fact that we're speaking in the way that we are in podcasts and articles, we pretty much do. I want to spend a little time talking about the most famous or popular, well-known crashed UFOs. And I know, Preston, you've written so much about this, and I've read them in so many of your books. But I want to just go through a punch list, and you tell me if it's malarkey or not. Okay, so obviously we'll start with Roswell. So that's the most famous one. It was an initial military statement that they said it was at first a flying disc, and then they immediately retracted it. Everybody kind of knows. They had later claimed non-human debris and bodies, blah, blah, blah. Fact or fiction?
Fact.
Okay,
it's a
good.
True extraterrestrial craft, in my assessment. I mean, I wasn't there, so.
There are details they've mixed in things that are not true, though. Okay, there were bodies, but they all died. Nobody lived. Okay.
Right.
They
recovered the bodies, Dolly?
Yeah,
bodies were recovered. Okay.
Yeah, there were a few. And it's sad to me. There are other crashes that are just as significant as Roswell, but they don't want you to know what they are,
Oh, sure. What about UFO in New Mexico, 1948? Alleged again recovery of a disc-shaped craft with small humanoid bodies. The story resurfaced through folks like yourselves, right? Decades later. But they said it was widely labeled a hoax by investigators, but still discussed in UFO community. Yeah. Why do you think this case refuses to die?
Frank Scully was one of the first people to ever talk about crashed UFOs and put that out in a book. And he was viciously attacked. And they tried so hard to debunk that case. William Steinman wrote a book, UFO Crash at Aztec, and showed that was a smear campaign put on him.
Yeah.
Frank and Suzanne Ramsey took that case and spent an enormous amount of their own personal money and time and proved that this case is real. Genuine case, multiple sources.
Yeah. There are other cases. There are cases that occurred in this country that you know absolutely nothing about,
I'm sure.
Here's one case.
Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania in 1965. So witnesses saw a fireball streak across multiple states. And I'm just giving a quick punch list of them. Object reportedly landed in the woods. Military quickly sealed off the area. This was described as an acorn-shaped object and strange markings on the outside. It was given, the explanation was given, it's a meteor, but the locals insist that it was removed by military. Preston, real, fake, malarkey?
It's a real craft, but I think it's ours. My assessment.
Oh, nice.
Or maybe Russia's or something, but not ET.
Not ET. Nope.
Wow, cool. Okay,
but still a really interesting incident.
No, it was, definitely. Okay, so that's good. I got to mark that in my brain. What about Shag Harbor? Multiple witnesses, again, including police, saw this object crash into the water. Search and rescue teams.
It's absolutely
Yep. True. Yep.
Wow.
Aliens.
It moved away. It was underwater, and they found there was they had divers go down. They got pieces of it was more than one craft, and went down. That it was underwater, and I think a craft went in to try to save it, and it moved away underwater. It went somewhere else.
Oh,
But
we
their
didn't.
divers on their
we
lives said they seen it. We have Americans who went divers that went down. They had America, Canada, and they were all surrounding it all at once, and they went down, and they, it's real.
Yeah.
Didn't retrieve that then? We don't.
Yes.
No, the ETs got it back.
Yeah. They
Oh,
went
The
and got
ETs
it.
rescued them and
Right.
took their folks back.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Yep.
Brilliant. Okay, how about this one in Brazil? Varginha? How do you say that?
Yeah, Varginha.
Varginha. You know what that sounds like, so
I'm not going there.
I'm not going there.
Yeah, Dolly.
It's
says that
ours.
this one
It's ours.
probably, yeah, I don't know about that one. Dolly's
Absolutely ours.
pushing me towards that being not real,
Michael
but I've
Stratt
always
agrees with
assumed
me,
that
it's
that
ours.
was a genuine event.
Yeah, Michael Stratt is on my side. He knows it's ours. Yeah.
Because that's known as the Brazilian Roswell.
I know, and it's totally, it's ours.
Oh, no way. All right, good to know. Good to know. How about the Aurora UFO incident in Texas? Pre-Roswell story of a crashing into a windmill. Alleged pilots described as non-human, but buried locally. What in God's name is that about?
I did a deep dive on that one, and I'm going to say real for a number of reasons. Because there was radiation involved.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
They went back and dug
The
them
guy
up.
got burned.
Hmm?
Where
What?
human is that the one where a gentleman approached it and he got all burned?
No, but there was contamination at the site, and some people
Oh,
suffered
okay.
And the
health-wise
government went and cleaned it
because
up.
of it. And I
Oh, the
think that,
government cleaned it up.
Oh, yeah. Dug it up and cleaned
that's
it
a
up.
very early case, 1890, I believe it was, thereabouts.
Yeah. 1897. You're so good with dates, Preston. You blow me away. Goodness gracious. All right, we have two more. Oh no, that's it. That was the last few, the most popular ones, obviously. But Dolly says that there's so many more that we don't know. Why don't we know about them, guys?
Because the government got it so fast, you'll never know.
Yeah, and this goes back to the point of, do we need our governments to disclose? Yes, we do. If we could elect truthful and honest leaders, this would be a completely different world.
Yeah, but you're not electing the
haven't done
people
that.
who have control. Again, you're not electing people who have control. It's not our government. It's the
Yeah, I know, but this is the problem, isn't it?
the military. That's part of the military-industrial complex. You will never know the truth. You can't elect anybody to tell you the truth. They don't listen to you. They act with carte blanche.
What about Paulina Luna, whatever her name is there?
Yeah, she's, I think, a good. No, this is where it's so tricky, isn't it? Because is she part of the? Is she working for the bad folks, or is she a genuine member of Congress who really wants the truth?
What's her name? Paulina Luna something.
Elena Denard?
That's right.
No, Paulina Luna.
I don't know who you're talking about. I don't pay attention to certain people.
She's in Congress. She's one of the disclosure advocates within Congress. So
okay.
I don't know because
Anna Paulina Luna.
Anna Paulina, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
well, I'm gonna have to go look her up. I don't know.
God, Dolly. She's the biggest voice rallying for disclosure, I think, right, Preston?
Yeah, she's in Congress, and she is trying to get truth and transparency with this subject, which, as Dolly says, is a dead end.
Again, dog and pony show. You're leading credence to people who have no authority over any of this, and yet you believe they do. They do not.
No, Dolly.
My concern is
Dolly. She's trying to get disclosure.
Look,
she may be,
doesn't
but
matter
she
what
might be
she
part
says or
of them.
does. She has no authority.
She
Nobody
might be.
does.
She might
See,
be.
none of them have the authority to pull this out of the bag. They are incredibly naive people who are banging on a door with nothing behind it. It doesn't exist in
Dolly,
that
I have
arena.
a question. I have a
Okay.
question for you.
All right.
What would happen tomorrow if the president, this is just hypothetically, if Trump got up and said what we were talking about and gave full 110% disclosure?
Dead 5
What-
minutes
no.
before he opened his mouth.
No.
You
What would
understand,
that-
he would be dead that fast.
No,
He would
Dolly,
never
you didn't
do
let,
it.
Dolly, you didn't let me finish
Okay,
my
go ahead.
question.
I can
My
hear you.
question was, what would happen to you? How would that
Nothing, because it's not going to happen. He would be dead.
Dolly,
He's been warned 3
hypothetical.
times. Don't.
hypothetical?
Why would you delusionally sit and say hypotheticals? It's a theorem. There's no credence to it. It doesn't hold water. It's not reality. It's a picture in your head that doesn't exist. He would be dead 5 minutes before he opened his mouth.
I
He would be
understand
dead.
that. But I'm saying, how would that affect your way of thinking? Would that change anything in your world regarding disclosure?
I already know what's going on, and I'm speaking from firm authority to you. I will not change. It is not going to happen to me. There is nothing. You can't break what I'm saying. I'm speaking 100% empirical truth to you. That's what's real and what's not. Trump has been warned twice. They want him dead now anyway. If he was to come out and pull that trigger, he would be dead before he opened his mouth. He would die. He would die a terrible, horrible death. They can kill him anytime they want to. Please understand the reality of this situation. They're all walking on eggshells. They know some of the truth. They have some of a situation concept of what's coming at them. They are briefed on certain things. But as far as all the truth, no. And they've all been told, you don't get to talk about this, period.
I think if any president does, he has the potential to do it. And I would love that. It's time for that. If we had every head of state on this planet saying it's real, that's a little bit of pushback against the military-industrial complex.
It would push them into launching on humanity instantaneously.
Yeah, you may be right, but to me that would still be good news.
Before due time, we have a certain block, a certainty amount of time to reorganize the way we think and act upon it. And if you don't do that, you will be shocked and a victim of what they have planned. And I was raised not to be a victim. I was raised to take full control of my existence and move forward with it. And unless and until you do that, you will be a victim. That's what I'm telling you. And it's hard to hear, but you know what? Reality is reality. And nobody guaranteed you that from the moment of your birth that your life was going to be easy and all cheese balls and all kinds of crazy. Okay?
Life is more difficult than it is easy. Trust me.
And a good parent, a good friend, someone who's concerned about you would tell you the truth. And I'm telling you the truth. Okay?
That is true.
I have no ulterior motives in this. What are y'all going to do? You know, you can either believe me, hate me, or whatever. That is not my issue. My issue is this. I will tell you the truth until I'm no longer here, period. And it's short time. If you look at the entirety of what's going on in the world and you sit and you take stock in it and you see things happening, you know, everybody knows in the back of their brain that crap's about to start and it's going to finish us one way or the other. Okay. Existentially, this is the moment of antithesis, full anarchy on all of us. And you can either be in delusion about it or face it. And your existence, your personal existence, you know, how are you going to meet the other side? When you pass through this place, when you leave, because we all do, and you get to the other side, what's the first thing somebody's going to say to you? Well, how did you handle that? Think about it. How much do you want to evolve? Evolution is a process by which we take control of our destiny and our own existence. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. It starts with you. And if you want to evolve, you have to evolve in truth and knowledge, period, the end. And you have to be able to employ that. That's what I'm saying. It's critical at this moment. It's a critical juncture. And I'm not regretting staying back, not by the long shot, because people are hearing the truth and they are acting accordingly. I'm seeing it happen right now. When I say people are waking up, that's exactly what I mean. Okay? We have to stop talking about all the things that don't matter and aren't real. Okay? We have to talk about empirical truth here. And we have to stop believing 50,000 stories that have nothing to do with reality. Nothing. That's what we should do. That's a big deal. That's newsworthy. You want to create a news cycle? Do that. You know?
Okay. Well, sometimes people have to dig into something in order to know if it's their truth or not. So I get that. You know, sometimes
there's no such thing as their truth. It's the truth. Truth is the truth.
So sometimes you have to spend some time, you know, digging into things and researching things, and then you have that moment. You know,
that's my mantra, man. Don't believe any damn thing I say. Go look it up for yourself.
Absolutely,
you have what's true and what's not. Okay, but it's not your truth; it's the truth. That's what you are aiming toward.
Yes, this is live, dear. This is live.
Yep.
Okay, so, oh God, why are all these comments clicking? In the remaining time that we have, any last thoughts? We'll start with you, Preston, on Bob Lazar's movie, his story, anything that we didn't say that you want to talk about?
No, I think we covered it pretty well, but I would say that it's required viewing for anyone remotely interested in UFOs, crash retrievals, and the Bob Lazar story. I give it an A. I thought it was very well done. It was thrilling to watch and see what, because you can talk for an hour about what someone says they saw, but Bob was there to verify the imagery and said that's 100% real. So that was thrilling.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just going to underline that this is such an important subject. We do need to take it seriously. Yeah. Yes, I do think we're dealing with some tough times ahead. I think corruption causes the collapse of governments across the world.
Absolutely.
And no government survives forever. It's my hope, and I'm an optimist, that we can achieve truth and transparency with this subject. I don't think we ever will. I really don't. But I think it would be delightful if we continue to move in that direction. And ultimately, whatever happens, we're eternal beings. Love is the answer. The way we're living now is not sustainable. So if it all goes down in fire and flames, it's good news for me, because who wants to live this way? It's ridiculous.
It does stink. It does stink.
Let's go to another planet. Let's start over with brand new bodies. It'll be great.
Exactly. Yeah. The whole problem globally are governments. Like, that's where it, you know, we're not designed to live this way. This is not the human experience that I believe God intended for us. It's just not. Anyway, Dolly, any last thoughts on Bob?
Yes. Do watch S4 and consider some of the words that he said. I was very profoundly impacted by something that he said after the show to someone else. If he had his druthers, he wished he was still on the inside, because he, the eternal scientist, the kid that wants to know everything and the truth, he said, I should have found a way to stay in and do this, but I didn't know at the time what I was giving up. And that made me sad for him, because he realizes, profoundly understands that he's been cut off from the truth, just like the rest of us. And he's equipped to know what it is. See what I'm saying? He has the brain for this. And that makes him a bigger hero too, because he came out and decided to do this, just like I'm doing this from a different perspective, okay? But we're both saying the same thing. Know all that is knowable, then proceed, okay? That's all we're saying. Know all that is knowable.
That's a good point, Dolly, because if he would have stayed on the inside, he probably could have uncovered more. But, you know,
he's a real scientist. But even then, he, in his brain, he knows that he would have been condemning himself too. I mean, it's a catch-all, the situation, and he knows that. And he also has the unfortunate cut off from what he really wants to know. He still wants to know all the answers too. He's looking
Of
for them.
course.
He's still looking, just like all of us should be, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But don't look to other people who are over you, who are not telling you the truth. That should be your first clue. If they're going to lie to you, don't listen to them. Give it
Oh,
up.
we don't.
A liar is a liar is a liar till the end
That's
of time.
right.
Stay away.
That is true.
All right. And with that,
So what are you guys working on now? That's exciting. Preston, we could start with you. What's happening in your sphere of the universe?
I'm working on like 5 books,
Oh,
honestly.
wow.
But really focusing, trying to, on the sequel to Symmetry, a True UFO Adventure. Unfortunately, my own YouTube channel really is sucking up a good deal of my time. So I'm trying to find a way to sort of streamline that.
Yeah.
But once I can get that done and get this book out, there's going to be an avalanche of stuff coming out. I'm going to try and getting more books on Audible because I know that's getting really popular. And yeah, I've got lots of stuff I really want to get done.
You need an admin. You need an admin.
you won't let.
No, I don't trust people.
No.
I want it done my way.
No. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to probably end up doing is, instead of him interviewing me for the last couple of things for the second Symmetry book, I'm just going to write it out for him and give it to him and say, okay, here you go.
There you go.
Please, yeah.
And
I would love
do it
that.
that way. Because he's already got the chapters out that I'm looking over. Okay. But we still have a couple of more interviews to go through. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to sit down and write it out for him and hand it to him so he can do it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. You know,
That makes sense, Dolly.
And all that stuff. And
It's about you anyway, right?
But, you know, hey, I'll try. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about you anyway, right? It makes sense to do that.
Yes. So
yeah, take some of the pressure off, Preston.
Yay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We've had so much going on with us in the last 3 years. I mean, it's been like one adventure after the other, literally. Yeah. And we're finally, it's all calmed down now, knock on wood. And so we both have a little bit more time. And I think that's what I'm going to do with my time, is I'm just going to write it out and hand it to him, you know, and we'll get it. So I'm hoping before the end of the summer that we come out with that. So,
yeah. So, all right. Other than your books, and I mean, you have anything else going on, or is that primarily it? I know you're working on your.
Yeah, we're going to Canada in May, and we're going to go be on Area 52 podcast. And Whitley Strieber's going to be there. They're going to do Preston, then me, and then us together, and then we're going to be together with Whitley. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
They like retooled their entire sets and everything, and they got all this new stuff going on, and it's going to be fun to do that. And we actually might get to meet Luigi while we're there. So how about that? And
that's a blast.
That's a hope. Now that's a hope. Okay, that's a big hope.
That's a hope.
Yeah. And then other than that, we're gardening, and we got all that kind of stuff doing, and we have family around us and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Good. Well, it was a joy speaking to you both today, as it always is. Thank you, Preston. Thank you, Dolly. Always a pleasure.
And pleasure also. And please, Carolann, you know I love you, right? I'm not ever yelling at you. I'm yelling at a subject. Okay. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I know your passion is right at the surface, and I know your fed up level is right at the surface too. Yeah. So you've got a combination with a nuclear explosion at the end.
Exactly. Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. No, I get that completely. But I appreciate that. Love you too, Dolly. Love you, Preston. You guys.
Love you too.
We
will talk again soon.
Yes.
And thank you, everyone in the chat. You guys rock. I've been trying to watch a lot of your comments, and I love the energy and the thought processes that you guys use. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye, dear friends.